What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is the Librarians Season 4, Episodes 1 and 2, and The Dark Secret, and The Steal of Fortune. It's going to be pretty hard to do these back to back like this, as far as naming the title. But that is how I'm going to do it for this season. Since they are showing 2 episodes every Wednesday night, I'm going to have to do 2 episodes for every review just to keep up with it. I don't know exactly how I'm going to watch all of them, though, because I looked on TNT, and they do what all of the streaming sites do, which is they show 5 episodes. But because they're into the 6th episode, they show 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. So I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to watch the 5th episode, but I assume they'll probably be looking into that once this week's set of episodes come out. But yeah, so let's talk about these first 2 episodes, because it kicks off with some pretty interesting, I guess, morals for this season. Because you always wonder, well, what's this season going to be about? Because most of them are pretty disconnected as far as like, okay, well, season 1 was about this, and season 2 was about this, season 3 was about this. It's never like, oh, this has all been one big story about this. So looking into this season, it's kind of like, well, where are they going to go with it now? Now that they've beaten Apep, they stopped the prophecy that talks about the end of the world. They've done all of that. What next? What is the next step? Well, that's pretty much where they start. They start saying, well, that was all that was prophesied, so now we're in uncharted territory. We don't know what's next to come, which means we're in far more dangerous waters than we've ever been. And I love that. I love whenever they can take a concept like that and turn it into not, oh, we've beaten the prophecy, now we're good. They're actually taking that and saying, no, that means we're not good, because now we don't know what's going on. Last season was nothing because we actually knew what was coming. This season, who knows what's going to come next? We're not prepared for that anymore. So I don't know. I love the fact that they're kind of upping the stakes by saying last season was nothing because we actually knew the threat. So I don't know. I love it whenever a show can do that. But yeah, so we start off with these stones being taken. It's from the Library of Alexandria. And this starts us down a path that I'm not really sure exactly what to expect from it. Because first of all, we see the little ceremony where they're tethering Baird and Flynn to the library to keep it alive. And nobody seems to be that interested in it. And I'm thinking at the time, this feels like something you guys should be invested in. I mean, it keeps the library alive. That should be important to you. Why is it not important to you? What's going on with this? And this actually is kind of playing into what seems to be the theme this season, which is, can the library be trusted? Is the library actually a good thing? And I don't think they're going to go all the way with it, because this still is, at the base of it, a lighthearted show, even if it does have some dark themes every now and then. But we see Flynn's old guardian, Nicole Noon. She's back in our timeline, which I never actually watched any of the TV movies, the original Librarian TV movies, but I did look it up, and this is actually the character from, I believe, the very first Librarian movie. Not the same actress that played her, but according to Flynn, I probably should go watch the movie to see if this is exactly what happened, but apparently there was a time machine that blew up, and so he thought she was lost forever. Turns out she got sent back 500 years in time, had some artifacts that let her keep her immortality, and so she stayed alive for 500 years, but then Jenkins captured her and put her down in this dungeon. And so, of course, she's talking about the library like it's not a good thing, because it betrayed her, and Flynn betrayed her as well. And even Stone is like, well, how come the library never told us that somebody was being trapped down here? What else is it hiding from us? So they're already starting to play into this little bit of a distrust with the library. And then it carries over a little bit into the second episode, where Flynn is talking about, he's not really sure if he wants to be tethered to the library. He's kind of struggling with that difficulty. And you can see throughout most of the episode, he's talking about, oh yeah, I need to do this because whenever I get tethered to the library, this is going to be my life now, and it's all I'm going to be doing. But he's saying it with almost kind of an edge of fear, like he doesn't really want to do it. And so that feels like what they're building up to is, can they trust the library? Now, like I said, I doubt they're going to go all the way and actually make like the library a bad guy. They might. I don't know. Maybe this will be the last season and it ends with them taking on the library because it's turned against them and it's actually been hiding all these secrets this whole time. I just don't see that happening, though, because it feels like this could go on for a few more seasons now. It feels like it's got some life to it. The characters are playing off of each other really well. The stories that they're telling are fairly interesting, and so I feel like this could go on for a few more seasons. And so if you make the library a bad guy, and then make them have to destroy the library at the end of the season, well, your show's over. I doubt they're going to do that, even if it would be very, very interesting to see what could you do then. Could you even take it further than that? But anyway, so yeah, I do like the fact that they're sort of playing this up, even if it doesn't really lead anywhere for right now. It is leading to some good moral dilemmas, and I'm sure they're going to carry this throughout most of the season. This struggle of, do we trust the library, or has it been playing us this entire time? So that's pretty much the only overarching story over these two episodes. The rest of the stories are all very episode based. The first one, I thought this might be the main story for this season. We see these priests are taking these stones to reconstruct the Library of Alexandria so that they can destroy it, because they believe destroying the library means destroying enlightenment, and they want to keep everybody in the Dark Ages, which does sort of play into history a little bit. So, but ultimately they get stopped because Nicole tosses one of the stones into this portal that's fading away, to pretty much make it lost forever. But the priest, played by John Noble, which I feel like he's got to come back, right? Because you would not get John Noble just to play a bad guy for this one episode. He's got to be a more important character than this. But he gets sucked into the vortex as well, trying to get the stone back, and then Nicole gets sucked into the vortex. Flynn goes in to rescue her. They have to do this thing to keep the portal alive before it fades away to get Flynn and Nicole back. And then once they do, Nicole disappears, and so now she's in the wind. They're not sure where. So yeah, it seemed like this might be leading into the overarching story for the season, trying to reconstruct the Library of Alexandria and destroy the library in the process. But it turns out it was just for that one episode. At least that's what they're making it look like. They may bring that storyline back up later on. Like, who knows, maybe Nicole actually went in to get the stone back out. And so it wasn't just an accident that she got sucked in. She purposely got herself sucked in so she could go get the stone, knowing that Flynn would rescue her and get her back out of there, so she could reconstruct the library later on in the season. Maybe not, but we're still kind of... I don't know her motivations yet. I don't know if she did that to save Flynn's life, or if she did it because she truly does want to keep the library intact for now. But her motivations hopefully will be explained later on. We also see in this episode the team working very well together, and that's something that they've shown over the past couple seasons, how at the end of the first season they sort of all disbanded and went their separate ways. Second season was about them reconnecting because they had been disconnected for a while, and by the end of it, they were doing very well. Beginning of the third season showed them all working together very well, but then this prophecy stepped in, and then the team sort of got disjointed because Flynn was hiding stuff from them. And so in this first episode, we see they're still working very well together. They still have their different duties and stuff. And I thought they showed that very well with the whole, Flynn being sucked into the thing, and them knowing, okay, we got to make this portal grow strong again, or else Flynn's going to be lost forever. And so each of them has their little thing. Ezekiel's the only one fast enough to run out quickly, to stick the metal coil around the lightning pole. Jacob is the one trying to figure out which stone to wrap it on, and then Cassandra's the one that comes up with the whole idea. So I love them all working together, figuring stuff out together, because it shows they're still a good team. And that's something that I think this show is built upon, is this team working well together. And on top of that, we see Flynn is still heavily involved, which I do like. I think one of the problems I've had in the first season, and even in the second season, is it felt like they just sort of pushed Flynn off to the side and made him a non-factor. Which I do understand to a point, because he is sort of overpowered. He's like the best of all of these three librarians. He's like all of them smushed together. But at the same time, I think he can also grow as a character working with these people, because they encompass some of not just his strengths, but also his weaknesses. And so I feel like that was one thing that made season 3 a little bit better, was he was a bit more centrally focused. He had a lot more time with the team. He had a lot more, growth with the team as well. And starting off, it seems like he's pretty heavily involved right now too. He's working with the team. He's not really working with them in the second episode. He's still back in the library trying to figure stuff out, but he's involved. And I think that's something that the show will benefit from, because he's an interesting enough character that I think you need him involved. If you just sort of push him off to the side, well, you lose something. So, but yeah, so we see in the second episode, it kind of not really picks up from the first episode, but we see another sort of problem going on. So this does once again sort of feel like it's going to be a very episodal based season, where every episode is going to have some new threat that they have to stop, slowly building up to the final threat that will end in this at the last episode of the season. So we see Jacob is talking about friendship and can they have friends outside the library, and of course everybody's like, no, you can't. You have to stay alone forever because that's just the job of a librarian. So he goes to visit a friend who is dealing with a lot of bad luck. And one of the things that I really, really like about this is they could have just played this up entirely for laughs. And it seemed like they were going to at the beginning of this episode. We see a guy goes up to his car. He sees that he's got a parking ticket for double parking, which he's barely double parked. And so he's like, are you kidding me? He throws it, sees that the parking ticket needs cash, which he doesn't have. So he's like, looks at his keychain, sees a little lucky four-leaf clover. It's like, yeah, whatever. Takes it off, throws it in the trash can, looks in his hand. He threw his keys in the trash can, so he jumps into the trash can to go get it. And right when he does that, the big dump truck comes and picks up the trash can. I mean, how much more unlucky can you get? And it's really funny, too. And so when Jacob goes to visit his friend, it's the guy we see that was in the beginning. And we see, as he shows up, all of a sudden this guy walks in and takes his horse. I can't remember the name of the guy, but he's so good at playing just kind of this douchey guy, who seems like he wants to be all big and tough, but when you get down to it, he's not. He typically plays that character very well. So we see he comes in and takes his horse away, and then as he's doing that, B comes down, stings him on the back of the neck. It puts him into anaphylactic shock. And I'm like, wait, what? And so they take him to the hospital, and they're just like, between all of the drink that he drank, the food that he ate, and then on top of that, the bee sting, it's enough to shut down his body entirely. If we don't get him something that'll help him soon, it could be, his organs start shutting down entirely. And I'm just like, holy crap. Like, they don't really touch on this anymore. And by the end of the episode, obviously everything works out. But I just didn't expect it to go into such a dark place. It went from, oh, he threw his keys away, not his little chain, and the dump truck comes and picks him up and takes him away in the dumpster, that's hysterical, to he gets stung by a bee, and because of everything else that he ate and drank, he could die. And I'm just like, okay, so we're going that way then. It is just that little sort of dark edge that they threw into this season, and even had a little bit last season as well, that I think sort of sets this show apart. It seems all on the surface like goofy and funny and whatever, but then when you really get down to it, there's some dark elements thrown in that you're just kind of like, oh, okay, death is a thing, and they treat it very seriously. So yeah, it was kind of a shock whenever they threw that in there, like, oh yeah, he could die, his organs could start shutting down very soon. I'm like, wow. So anyway, the team goes to the casino, and they see everybody's having bad luck. They're losing in the horse races, nobody's winning in the horse races. People who are winning in the casino, all of a sudden the owner of it goes up and he's like, hey, you're a winner, maybe you should try again. They try again, and then they lose. And honestly, this part was probably the weakest part for me. They make it seem like, oh, maybe it's his ring, but you see a woman standing next to him at all times. And I'm just like, let me guess. It's her, right? Because one of the things is luck be a lady. And I'm thinking there was a goddess of luck, if I remember right. It's going to be her, right? She's the luck. Sure enough, it turns out she's Fortuna, the goddess, the Roman goddess of luck. And so she's stealing everybody's luck, which the guy had been praying to her for a long time. She was a statue at first, and just asking for some luck, and so she showed up to give him that luck. And so we see everybody's losing, but then Cassandra finds a way to sort of read the board and read the little, what's it called? The thing with the marble that goes around the circle, the roulette machine, the roulette thing. She finds a way to sort of science her way and find the right answer, so she gets it right. And so they both, the owner and then Fortuna go up to her and just like, hey, you seem to be winning. And he's like, sucker, when they rely on luck, and then all of a sudden she wins again. And you can see her Fortuna start to be physically in pain, and that's when I'm like, okay, yeah, definitely it's her. but yeah, so she is using her math to sort of cheat her way around it. And then we see Ezekiel hacks into one of the slot machines and then gets jackpot there. So he cheats his way around it. And I didn't catch it at first, but when they start talking about, how can we do this, that's when it hits me. I'm like, oh, it's not logic, it's cheating. You cheat, you make it seem like you got luck, but in truth, you're not actually having luck. You're just fabricating luck. And so that's the way to beat Fortuna. It's taking away her luck and it's sapping her energy and turning her back into a statue. I'm like, okay, that's pretty clever. So what they do is very clever as well. They set up this whole thing where everybody's going to win the horse race and everybody's going to win at the roulette machine, everybody's going to win at the slot machine. They set it all up to go off at one time and just completely take away Fortuna's power. And I'm just like, that's really cool. I love it whenever the little clever things that they can set up work out like this. So yeah, I really enjoyed that part of it, and so they managed to stop her, take the statue away. And that's pretty much this episode in a nutshell. Like I said, Flynn was going through his little thing with Jenkins. They had some funny moments where he's trying to use the mirror to talk to him, but he shows up upside down, or he shows up in one picture, and then all of a sudden faces out and he's in another picture. So some of the jokes are really working. The one for me that continues to work, though, is the whole "we're the librarians" bit. In the first episode, they go up to Niagara Falls. They go up to one of the rangers there, and he's like, "Who are you?" And all three of them, Cassandra, Ezekiel, and Jacob at the same time, go, "We're the librarians." Ezekiel says, "I'm the librarian." So they say it at the same time, and he just goes, "Right," and then walks away. And Jacob looks, he's like, "What are you doing? We're supposed to say it one time, not all three of us at the same time." And then in the second episode, we see Cassandra gets taken in by the owner of the casino because he thinks she's cheating. And so she's sitting there, and she's like, "It's okay, I'm the librarian." And they all start laughing, and Ezekiel, Baird, and Jacob are all in the vent, and Baird just goes, "Why do people keep thinking that's going to work? It never works." It's just funny little stuff like that they throw in that really, really works, and is really funny as well. So it can be goofy at times, but I do think the humor on a grand scale does work. There's some funny little things thrown in there that really do make me laugh. The action, hit and miss. They do have some good fist fighting action, and then they do have some pretty poor, where it's like you just see them like, fighting, I'm totally fighting right now. So the action doesn't always work, but I think that's part of the charm of the show, is that it's supposed to be kind of goofy action. And then the story so far has been very interesting. They're kind of playing into this whole element of unknown territory. There's no prophecy predicting what's going to happen next. The library seems to be maybe hiding secrets from them, maybe not. Can it be trusted? Is Flynn going to trust his old guardian? I do like the fact that they're not really playing up any like hints of romance between them right now. I was worried whenever she showed up that they're going to be all like, "Oh, lovey-dovey," and Baird was going to get jealous. But no, he still clearly loves Baird. But the fact that she comes back does sort of put his judgment into question. Is he going to be able to think clearly with somebody that he used to love coming back into this situation, especially somebody that he thought died, and it was because of him as well, we come to find out. Like, he's the one that sort of set up the machine and caused what happened to her. So, I don't know. I really like what they're doing right now. I like how they're handling all of this. So yeah, that's pretty much it for these first two episodes. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these first two? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Librarians reviews. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.